Oh, and I love Carl. We've done some business together and tried to do more business together. He's a great guy. I look up to him. I respect the hell out of him, right? But he's not always right.
All right, Mark Cuban going after famed investor Carl Icahn over his preference for the energy industry, the highly regulated energy industry, as Mr. Icahn puts it, and that nothing this administration has done or Hillary Clinton has proposed has changed his mind about that. Carl joins me right now on the phone to respond. Good to have you, Carl. Thank you. What do you make of what he's saying?
Of Mark Cuban, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, Neil, I wanted to say welcome back. I missed you, and I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you.
Hey, look, this isn't about being Mark Cuban. I happen to like Mark Cuban a lot. I've known him for years. I wish I even knew him better. I think he's accomplished a lot. And, you know, he made some remarks, and he has a right to, about my backing of Trump. And, you know, he has a right to do it. And I answered those remarks, and he answered them again. And then I don't think I answered it again, and maybe he didn't. I mean, I certainly don't want to get into a fight with a guy I like. You know, there are enough people I don't like. I'm not a shy guy.
I know you're not, but he just sees things very differently when it comes to Mr. Trump. I know you support him. Like he says, you know, I guess referring to you, that you wouldn't hire Trump unless you were short the company. What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't even know he said that, and, you know, I look, he might have said it in a moment of pique. I mean, that's sort of ridiculous on the face of it if he did say it, but, you know, he has a right. Sometimes he gets emotional. I certainly would hire Trump. I know Trump for years. I think he's a very smart guy. And frankly, at this point, you know, this election is not about individuals. You know, individuals over the years have surprised us. I mean, you've gotten great presidents who people thought would never make it. I think Harry Truman did a great job, and you see others like that. And the thing that this is all about is the economy. And we really have a very troubled economy. This country is really on the brink of a precipice. Now, will we make it? I sure hope so. We're a great country. But it's difficult when you're a democracy and you have a gridlock Congress, and we have to do something about it. And unfortunately, our government is gridlocked, and it's not doing anything. I mean, I fought for a while. I don't get into politics, as you know, Neil, but I fought for a while. There's absurdities around, true absurdities. I mean, you're not repatriating $2.6 trillion because the Democrats and the Republicans are having a food fight is absurd. Now, I respect a lot of guys in Congress, a lot of senators I think are smart guys, but we have to do something about this, or we really, and we already have major troubles. Janet Yellen and the Fed are holding this economy up by a string with zero interest rates, which are causing huge bubbles already.
Do you think that bubble burst, though, Carl, or it could start getting pricked a little bit this fall? Some are worried that the bond market looks certainly like a bubble. Real estate could be back in bubble terms. That something could transpire these next.
Well, you know something. If you're an astute investor and you're not worried, there's got to be something wrong with how you look at investments, because you have to be worried in this stuff. And even and many of the guys I really respect are very concerned. Hey, Mark himself just said he was worried if Donald gets in. I'm sort of thinking it's the opposite.
He's hedging. He's
hedging. But hey,
do you think we're in for like a 2008 type phenomenon?
Hey, I tell you this. I'm not looking to pat myself on the back, but I call that housing crisis. I even talk to people in Washington, and everybody closed their eyes to it. And you know, now I got to just tell you one salient point. Hillary said out there in one of her speeches, and I have nothing against Hillary. I mean, you know, look, all that stuff with emails amazes me, but that's something I don't know anything about. But I tell you, I do know about economics. I know about markets. And she said, rightly so, interestingly, to get this economy going, she said something like this. I don't keep this stuff, and I don't remember, but verbatim, but I will tell you this. She said, you know, you have to unleash the great power of corporate spending, something like that. And that is true. Our companies are spending no money. Really, literally, there's no capital spending. And she says that, and in the next breath, she says, but we're going to tax them, and we're going to keep regulating the hell out of them. She might not have used those words. So how are you going to get companies to spend again? You have look, there are very good regulatory agencies, good people in the regulatory agencies, but there are many too many, that don't understand what markets are, don't understand the economy.
Well, Mark Cuban fears Trump to the point that he thinks the markets would tumble on his election. I know it's a mug's game, Carl. You don't like to play these games. I can't blame you. But let's say Donald Trump is elected president in November. Would the immediate response to the markets be panic over the unknown and at least a quick sell-off, or no?
Well, look, I really will say I don't think there's anybody smart enough in this world. There are too many variables. To predict the market to begin with is very difficult, and to predict what's going to happen when you get a president in is really, I don't think you can guess it. I think it's like going to Vegas and betting on the red, you know, and decide, oh, somebody's good. They picked 10 reds in a row. Wow, they're geniuses. Let me pay them to pick the next roulette turn. So it's absurd to try to pick that. But let me finish a point I'm trying to make. So we have today regulatory agencies. Some are good, and some are doing their job. I respect them. And you need laws, you need order, and you need the regulation. There's nothing. But in some cases, they've gone off the reservation. You take the EPA today. I'll just give you one little example. And I have an agenda here because I own refineries. But forget that I have an agenda. You know, you could say nobody's going to feel sorry for Carl Ichan, and they're right not to feel sorry for me. But you take a regulatory agency. I mean, I'll tell you something that people don't understand because it's a little complicated. That's something out of Alice in Wonderland. You have, at the EPA, and I'll say who, there's a woman, Janet McCabe, who sort of runs this whole program as far as the Clean Air Act goes. I mean, she runs how the EPA polices it. Look, I'm sure she's a bright woman. If you look at her resume, she's had no business experience, doesn't have any understanding of markets, and what she bases what she's done on a report that was written by a chemical engineer. But here's the thing that's hard to believe, and I'm going to tell it to you, and this is why people at corporations don't invest, because they're scared that something like this, some irrationality like this is going to happen again. They decide in their wisdom, the EPA, you've got to make sure that a certain amount of ethanol is blended. I'm making it very simple. So they rule. They rule at the beginning of the year in their wisdom. Oh, you're going to need, I don't remember the number.
It confused a lot of people. We're just coming to a break, Carl. I do want to pick up on that point, some other corporate news. More with Carl Icahn right after this.